Hey everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to take a look at an abstract game made by Nestor Games, and the designer is Martin Althusen. I'm sorry, Martin, or I hope I didn't butcher your name, but I'm sure I did. Anyhow, we're going to talk about his game Tixel, which is a game that uses some kind of interestingly shaped pieces here. You can see they're kind of squares, but they have one area that's been a little bit hollowed out. These pieces are going to be either active or inactive on the board. When they're active on the board, they're going to be tilted kind of not in line with the grid, and when they're inactive, they'll be in line with the grid. Only active pieces being able to move. The objective of this game is to make moves on the board by adding and moving your pieces in order to inactivate your opponent's pieces and keep your pieces able to move or be added to the board, with the first person who's unable to take a turn losing the game. So it's going to be a little hard to describe, but real quick, why don't we just take a look at how it plays out on the board. We will talk about the pieces and kind of the different moves you can make, and then we'll come back at the end and I'll give you my opinions on Tixel. So here you can see all of the components for Tixel. Now we have these like nice acrylic pieces that are square in the majority of their shape, but of course you can see one edge here has been cut out. And this is very important to the gameplay here. Now, in a game of Tixel, the objective is to be the last player able to make a move, or to not be the first player who can't make a move in reality. And on your turn, you really have two choices of what you can do for a move. The first is that you can place a piece out on the board, and at the start of the game, this is going to be what you have to do. You can place your piece wherever you would like, as long as it's within one of these squares. But when you place a piece, you place it actively, and you're going to place it so that the corners of the piece go over the lines here. So a piece that is completely within the lines is inactive. A piece that is rotated, thus, is an active piece. So your first couple moves, and your first several moves likely, will be placing pieces out in an active state. Now you'll note that when you place another player places a piece, there's probably a way where they can place pieces in order to try and prevent you from moving, or they can place pieces so that they can stay active near you. But players are going to be placing pieces out in manners something like this in order to try and prevent other moves from happening. Now, the objective of the game is going to be to inactivate your opponent's pieces, sometime inactivate your own pieces, and inactivating your own piece will allow you to take a bonus action. So sometimes it's not bad to have your own piece be inactive. So let's say, even though this would be a very poor first play, that our player has decided that they are going to play like this. The other type of move you can take in the game is to move one of your pieces. When you move a piece, you are going to rotate it completely within the grid, whatever way you like. It could be any way, it doesn't really matter. But then you're going to move it as many spaces as you want in a straight line. In doing so, you're going to see that you will sometimes catch other pieces and rotate them, and they will rotate so that they become inactive. Now I could stop right here. If I do so, I can rotate my piece to become active again, because you'll see that I am able to fit my piece with all of the corners going over the lines, and sitting so that it blocks this piece right here. So it's able to be active even though there's a piece in the next spot over, because the curve of this inactive piece is such that it allows me to place. If this had ended like this, I could either leave my piece inactive or move it to the next space over, continuing in that line, and of course leaving it active like this. Now there will be times where you're able to force a move so that you can end in a way where you are inactive. For example, if I had moved from here, starting like this, moved in a straight line here, I can inactivate this piece and leave this piece inactive. This is called forcing an inactive move on yourself, and when you do so, you will be able to take a bonus action. Bonus actions can be one of several things. It could be just simply placing another piece, or if you had another piece on the board, it could be taking another move. Alternatively, you can reactivate a piece that is inactive. So if somehow a piece had been inactivated, you could simply rotate it to be reactivated. You can pull a piece off of the board. That could be you or your opponent's piece. Or you can simply go ahead and readjust a piece you have on the board to have a different orientation. However, you'll note that by inactivating these pieces, I have taken away potential moves from my opponent. They can no longer move these pieces, and they can't activate them, although this one could theoretically be reactivated if they got a bonus move, because it can rotate like this. Whereas this one, there's simply no way to reactivate it. Now, in order to place a piece, you must have an already active piece. So this would actually be endgame already, and it would have been very poor play. But in the beginning of the game, you're going to see people placing pieces that can't be inactivated by each other until it kind of starts forcing a scenario where you're forced to start moving and trying to inactivate your opponent's pieces, leave yourself in an inactivated position to take a bonus action, and try and go back and forth in inactivating pieces, yet leaving open spaces on the board where you're able to place new pieces, and that won't always be able or easy to be done. So you're going to keep placing pieces and moving pieces back and forth, trying to avoid moves. Now this wouldn't be good because this player could simply move up here and deactivate this and stay active. But trying to place in ways where other players can't deactivate your pieces or force you into a scenario where they're going to get bonus actions. Moving back and forth, placing pieces on the board, moving your pieces, and trying to be the player who can be the last one able to move. And if the first player who is unable to either place a piece or move one of their pieces on the board is going to be the loser. And there you have it. That is Tixel. Now, this is an abstract game that is very well made. I must admit, I'm impressed. This game is made with what I understand to be kind of leftover pieces from a cutting process. It was just kind of a design that was made, and these pieces are essentially left over from that process. Or maybe there's another game that uses pieces that are left over from this cutting process. Either way, one game's scrap pieces and was designed around that, and the other one isn't scrap pieces, but is still very well designed. The rule book for this game is one side or two sides of a sheet of paper. Very easy to learn, and the gameplay is exceptionally deep. It's well beyond my level of actually grasping all of the strategy. I understand that I can place pieces and move pieces and how to inactivate other players' pieces and what the benefits are of inactivating my own pieces, and even the point of the game, but that doesn't mean I'm good at it. I'm terrible. I'm awful. I don't even come close to approaching any level of cohesive strategy, but I enjoy myself. The game is easy to learn. It has a lot of strategic depth, and it's elegant. I mean, it really is. So if you like abstracts, I would definitely suggest checking this one out. A lot of fun to play, a lot of strategy choices to be made, and I've seen online play even where the level of play approaches such that I can barely even understand what the downstream motives are. So it's got that level of strategy to it. If that sounds good to you, check it out. That's Tixel from Nestor Games.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock.